can't hear you through these.
All right, go to your audio, go to audio settings,
Wait.
and then under select a speaker, make sure it says, did you plug the headphones into the mic on the bottom?
Yeah. Fifi microphone?
Yeah. So that
Like
should
a
be
speaker, you said?
as microphone and speaker.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh,
Got
bless
it?
the heavens.
The heavens, bless Marty. I did that for you.
That's what I meant. Jesus. Uh, wait, does this
Have
look
you accepted
stupid?
Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior yet, Jackie?
That's not what this podcast is about.
Oh, that's the other one.
Sorry, that's the other one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Right.
Who do you think would play you when they make the biopic of Jackie Burkett?
Wow, this is a
Like
crazy question.
like
Like
who
an
do you
actual
get, and why did your video turn off?
Oh
There you
fuck.
are.
Oh, that's why. Because it covered it.
Like,
Hold
do
on, wait.
people tell you ever that you look like someone or you remind them of someone?
Um,
Like, do you get anyone ever? I can't quite.
yeah.
To me, you're like a very singular human. Like, there's no.
I am like, yeah, I guess you know what's weird? Some people like just mistake me for normal people. Like, weren't you teaching in that classroom? And I'm like, no. So
No.
I'm just another teacher. And like kids have been like, oh, you look like my friend. And I'm like, I look 11? Like, is that what you're
You
saying?
do look 11 sometimes.
I mean, I'll take it. Like, but bro, like, I don't know. You know though who probably
Who would
would
who would
play
play
me?
you? Who would play
I
you?
think
Uh,
someone like ridiculous. Like,
it's hard to even think of someone.
I mean, a brunette, like
But yeah, but
I
you're
don't
so
know.
much more than your brunetteness.
Maybe sometimes I feel like Kate McKinnon, but she doesn't look like me.
Kate McKinnon. Yeah, well, if she dyed her hair, I mean, she could do anything. She,
But
she could do no wrong.
yeah,
So,
but she's very like, and I'm like, like I feel like we'd vibe and be really good friends. So shout out. You,
oh, Kate McKinnon, if you're listening, we want to be friends with you.
yeah, come on the
Come,
podcast and talk about music
we'll do a
however you see
special
it.
non-musician episode for Kate McKinnon.
Well, you never know. Like there are no jobs in fine arts. Like it's nice of her.
Yeah, there are no jobs in acting. That's going to be a hit.
That's like the spin-off.
That
That's
would
the
be
spin-off.
insane.
Who would play you?
Ryan Gosling, obviously.
I'm gagged as Gen Z says, I'm gagged. You're yes. But like I feel like
Well,
okay.
I will. First of all, disclaimer that I don't really see that. I mean, I can see the
No, I
resemblance.
see it.
People say that, but I will say twice in my life, both times in New York, actually,
You've been mistaken.
I've been asked by strangers if I'm Ryan Gosling.
Please tell me you were like, "Oh my God, yes, let me sign."
Yeah, of course. Was that you want an autograph, selfie?
Oh, I love that so much. That's so good. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm trying to make warmer lighting
Well, our
here.
guest tonight is another LAer, happens to be a friend of Alex Deason
I
from
was literally
episode
gonna say, does he
2.
know Alex
He
Deason?
does know Alex Deason. They are
Amazing.
also friends, colleagues, buddies.
Yeah, because he played with the Damwells now, or does engineering for them.
No, I don't think so.
It
I'll ask
says
him.
it though.
Oh,
Well,
does it? Oh, maybe he did.
it's well, it says he recorded and toured with, and the long list of names
Yeah, it's pretty
there
pretty
and there.
cool, right?
Like that's extensive. Well, I guess I'll find out how you met him, but
Well, I
like,
know
please,
him through Alex because
okay.
I mean, he has a patchwork career like a lot of our guests, but the two things that we're going to kind of focus on tonight is being a touring and session musician with a band who is our guest today. He is the current bass player for a little band you might have heard of called the Wallflowers and 90s Kids. Damn, that's huge.
Yeah, that is huge. That is huge. And
For
he
me
still plays
growing
with
up,
them.
the Wallflowers, Goo Goo Dolls, that was like That
Yeah.
was the tippy top
Yep.
of great bands. And then he is also for the Wallflowers and for a lot of other people, myself included, is a mastering engineer. So we can talk a little bit in this session about what exactly that is, and some of the technology side of things. So,
I would love to know
producing
more.
music, and at the end of that process, there's a mixing engineer and a mastering engineer that get involved at the very end. And I thought that was a really kind of unique angle for this because he is the bass player and the mastering engineer for the Wallflowers right now.
Interesting combo
Yeah,
job.
exactly. All right, well, let's talk to the bass player and mastering engineer for the
Oh my
Wallflowers.
God, I'm so excited.
Hey there.
Oh, hey.
Can you hear me?
I
Yes,
can. Can you
very
hear us all
well.
right?
I wanted to check if the camera following me is like if that's annoying and if so
No,
we
it's
can.
not.
All
No,
right.
it's not at
No,
Oh,
it's
all.
fine. It's kind of cool.
Yeah. Good. Oh, and look at us with our guitars in the background here.
yeah, there you go.
My
Hey,
guitar's in my bedroom.
Yeah.
well, go get it. Put it behind you, quick.
I can't, there's no hook.
Didn't you get the memo?
I forgot that one. I brought my tea.
There you go.
Oh my gosh. Well, you and I have only communicated through email. This is our first sort of face to face, even virtually. So I'm just so
Okay.
thrilled. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for
Thanks for,
having me. I
yeah,
Yeah,
of
appreciate
thanks for
it.
course. Thanks for being
coming.
part of this. Can you teach Jackie how to pronounce your name because she doesn't believe me?
I don't remember. It's too long ago. No. So okay. So first of all, everybody calls me Why Not, and just like the question,
Yeah.
and that's because my Dutch name. I was born and raised in the Netherlands, and so
Uh-huh.
my name in Dutch is Wijnand, and I figured
Venom.
out pretty much immediately after setting foot on on these shores that that wasn't going to work.
Oh my
And
goodness.
yeah. So it started as a joke. It was a little offhand joke that friends of my parents made who were English, and we visited them in England, and they made
Yeah.
some kind of joke about not being able to pronounce my name, and they're like, "Well, it sounds like why not? Let's call him why not?" Haha. And then
And that
I was
actually
like,
stuck?
well, it didn't stick then because I was 10 years old and we went back to Holland, and so that
Ah,
was
okay.
that. But then when I started coming to the States, I just remembered it and mentioned it as a joke, and then that immediately stuck from that point on. So
And this
yeah.
is the actual Dutch spelling?
The Dutch spelling is Wijnand. It's pronounced Wijnand.
N-A-N-D. Okay.
And
Venom.
it doesn't really sound like why not, but close
Right.
enough, right?
So what do your friends actually call you?
Why not?
They
Why?
do call you why not?
Oh
Uh,
wow. So is that what you prefer?
Oh yeah. I've been
Why
wine
not?
off for so long that's it. That's what I am.
Wow. Okay.
All right.
There you go.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Why
That's
not?
great. Oh, that's
Why not?
that's why not? That's so much.
Exactly.
That's
Why not?
yeah,
And
that's quicker.
yeah. When it's someone I really don't know, and they're and I introduce myself, I say just to sort of like head off any time spent on it. I just say why not, like the question, and then
Perfect.
it sort of signals to them, yes, you heard it right, yes, it's okay.
Yep.
Yes, it's weird and
Yep.
funny, and
I've
there we
been
go.
saying SEDEC like FedEx my whole life.
There you go. Yeah, yeah.
And Jackie says work it like a Burkett, right?
There you go.
That's
Yeah,
my last name. Because it's been butchered, believe it or not. But like
I'm sure.
Burkat,
I only
Burkok.
learned this in the last episode. I've been calling
Yeah,
you Jackie Burkett for 15 years. So
Yeah,
there you
yeah,
go.
yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah.
right.
oh my gosh. Well,
Names.
we're so thrilled to have you. I was telling Jackie before you signed on, we know each other or got in contact with each other from our mutual buddy Alex Deason,
Yeah.
who was our second guest ever on this
Yes.
Nice.
podcast. Yeah.
Who by the way has the most nicknames for me?
Oh, is that right?
Oh yeah, when we're talking about why not? Widge, which is the first three letters of my Dutch name, Wij. So he'll
Widge,
call me
Which
Widge,
I
like a
like that
and
widget.
one.
and then from that Wiggles, uh,
Wiggles.
from that Wiggle Baumengeist, which I don't even know where to go with that one,
Go
but
Baumengeist. Ja,
yeah,
das ist Deutsch.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, yeah.
That's so funny.
Anyway, but yes, Alex, love him.
Yeah, me too. Fantastic. Yeah. And yeah, so he put me in touch with you because he and I were working on some of my songs together and he
Yeah.
played some guitar. And then I was asking him about, maybe recommending some mastering engineers because I was kind of doing it myself and,
Yeah.
not totally successfully, obviously. And
Mhm.
he recommended you. And I was just so thrilled to learn about you. And I remember even just being nervous, like to send you an email, like, will you master my dumb little song? But you were just, so generous and did such a great job. And I'm
Well, thank
so
you.
grateful. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's so
man.
Um,
nice.
so we like to kind of start from the beginning with our guests, and
Yeah.
every musician out there has their kind of story of what exactly got them into music in the first place when they were young or maybe
Yeah.
not so young.
Yeah.
And so we'd love to hear just on the outset just a little bit of autobiography. Who is Whynot Jansveld and why are you a musician?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously it started way back. It started with loving music, as I'm sure it does for anyone who got into music,
Mhm.
and then I remember seeing some, like some concert stuff on TV, and I was like, and they're like, oh, so that's a thing you can do, okay,
Yeah.
and like one in particular, sort of like is I remember seeing some concert footage, and I'm pretty sure it was the Eagles, and
Oh yeah.
the camera was filming them from behind, and so you could kind of see through the band into the
Mm,
crowd, and I was like,
Yeah.
very
and
cool.
that got me. I was like, oh, that's cool. Um,
Hmm.
Also, I was super into Kiss when I was like not 9 years old, 8, 9 years old, right?
Yeah.
And this is when they were in their prime, like 78. And
Okay.
I was 9 years old in 1978. That's how old I am. And and my
I would
brother
not
and
have
I,
guessed. I would not
what's
have
that?
guessed that. I would not have guessed that. No.
Right,
You
and
fooled me.
we were super into those records and the live records especially. And same thing,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you open up the double album, and there was just a shot of the audience in one of the
Mm,
arenas that they played, and that made a massive impact on me. So,
yeah.
and I think I figured out fairly quickly that I love music and I love making it. I love just like sitting at a piano, even like not even knowing what to do, but just the sounds that it made.
Yeah.
And then when I was about 8 or 9 years old, I wanted to play guitar, and so my mom and I went and found a teacher, and classical guitar, Spanish guitar.
Oh, interesting.
Wow.
Yeah,
Oh, so cool.
yeah,
In
yeah,
Holland.
in
That's where you
Holland.
grew up.
Yeah, yeah. I recently on a trip back to Holland, I went and visited him.
Oh, your teacher?
Because yeah, yeah.
Wow.
My
That's
old
so
guitar teacher is
nice.
still alive. He's in his 80s,
Oh
doing
my
great.
God, that's
Oh, that's
awesome.
incredible.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that was cool. And did diligently practiced my guitar stuff and learned how to read music and learned about chords and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then soon enough, I think I figured out that um, well, at some point we got a piano at home. And I, just grabbed my guitar and I knew what the notes were. So I was like, all right, so this is a C and this is I'm looking at a keyboard here right now. Here, I'll show
You're
you.
like the perfect student.
I've
Yeah.
got like
Oh, look
I've
at
got
that.
the best
Oh, that's
desk,
Oh
right?
beautiful.
my
One of those
God,
built in
stunning.
I
to
have
the
the best
workstation.
desk. I
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it's amazing.
that's
It's
amazing.
amazing.
Yeah.
This is a little sidetrack, but it was made by my friend Adam Kriskow, who is a fantastic drummer and who does a
Uh-huh.
lot of woodworking and furniture making,
I
especially
was
for
just gonna ask if
studios.
that was
Of
custom or if you
course he
found that off the
does.
shelf somewhere.
Custom. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
amazing.
He lives a couple doors down. Anyway,
Wow.
and so
Amazing.
I figured out on a piano like what the notes were, and then from that what the chords were, and I just kind of started doing it, and then after a while I figured out that I could figure out what I was hearing on the radio. I could figure out what those chords were,
Yeah.
Wow.
and I've always been good at that.
Right.
And to the point where at some point, now I hear a song and I know what those chords are. I don't even have to
Sure. Sure.
try to play it. I just know what they are, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that, that really got me interested in such a wide range of music, and
Hmm.
especially we always had the radio on at home, you know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
there was always something to listen to, and it was mostly pop radio and pop and rock and whatever was on the hit parade at
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
time. And yeah, so that's kind of where it started, you know. And then I had little bands with friends, and my brother started playing drums, and so we were in a band together. And as those things go, you play covers, and then it's, you know, like somebody in the band writes some songs. Oh, that's cool, you
Exactly.
know.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
Cover bands are the gateway drug to
yeah,
songwriting, aren't
yeah, yeah,
That's so
yeah,
true.
yeah, yeah. And then, you know, fast forward to, um, you know, I didn't obviously at that time think that that could be a career.
they? Yeah.
You know, a boy can dream, I suppose, but um, like a good little Dutchman, I went to college, had nothing to do with music, just to like get a degree.
Oh, okay. What did you
And
study?
Interesting.
I studied translation studies in Amsterdam,
Oh, how cool.
Well,
and it
that's
was,
really
you know, it was
cool.
cool, and I picked it because I was good at languages, and you know, it seemed to come easy to me, and I knew I wanted to live in Amsterdam, and so
Well, I was also going to say, like, listening to you talk, like, you don't have, I don't hear much of an accent.
No, I
yeah,
don't hear it either.
I don't,
I
yeah.
mean, it's there, you
Yeah.
know,
Does it kind of creep
if I
in
have a
with
couple
certain
drinks,
words?
it'll
Or,
come out more.
We need to have shots one day to get like the
Yeah,
yeah, the
true
Dutch accent is
Dutch
yeah,
way
experience.
down deep in
yes,
your brainstem. So the
yes,
liquor
that's
has
right.
to release it, right?
That's
That's
exactly right.
awesome.
And so you know, I lived in Amsterdam. I went to college. I was close to finishing that up, and then I was like, well, I don't want to do that. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Meaning like be a translator, be an interpreter. All of a sudden, I was like, well, that seems supremely boring, and I can't believe that I didn't think of that earlier. But
yeah.
I'm happy that I didn't. I'm happy that I picked something
Hmm.
that that didn't serve up a job, right? Or a
Gotcha.
career. That
Yeah.
that was kind of just like, yeah, well, you could do that, but you know, why would you want to? And
Right.
at the same time, I was getting more and more into music, and I knew some people who had spent a little time, like a semester at Berkeley College of Music in Boston, and that sounded like a lot of fun to me. And
Mm,
especially because at the time, music schools in Holland were mostly classical and jazz, and
yeah.
not so much, you know, pop stuff and you know, the music that I was listening to. That has since changed, but at that time that didn't really exist. And a school like Berkeley seemed very open to all kinds of music,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And also, you know, like I said, I was a huge Kiss fan when I was a kid, and then all the other bands and artists that I got into, and so much of it was from the United States. Not everything, of course, right?
Hmm.
There's lots of amazing stuff from the UK
Yeah.
and elsewhere, but a good portion of it was from the States. And so I didn't really set out to like emigrate to the United States and become a professional musician, but I think I could sort of like I could sense it in the air. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
That was an option, and through an endless series of tiny little steps, I kind of ended up here and doing exactly that. But people ask me like, how and when did you decide to like move to the States to become a professional musician, and how did you make it work? And I don't really have an answer. I just kept taking tiny little steps in that direction, you know,
Yeah.
Berkeley being one of them, and
Uh-huh.
just for one semester at first, and my folks supported me, thankfully,
Hmm.
in that endeavor, and helped me out. And then one semester turned into 2 semesters, and then it turned into a couple years, 3 years, and then, you know, you make all these friends in school, and
Yeah.
then you kind of notice that a bunch of them are moving to New York, and so all right, that seems interesting. And then I started taking the bus down to go play gigs in New York with
Yep.
friends before
Yeah.
I ever moved there. And then eventually moved there, and then lived there for 16 years. You know what I mean? And so it just
Yeah.
kind of keeps
That's a
going and
long
going.
time.
I'm also
Yeah.
amazed listening to this. Why not? How like parallel our lives
Is that
are.
right?
Yeah, like your biography is very, very similar to mine.
Where are you from?
Well, Poland originally,
Okay. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then also came to the States very young.
Yeah.
Just started with guitar lessons, taught myself piano,
Yeah.
ended up going to Berkeley,
Yeah.
ended up coming down to New York all the time to play gigs and stuff, and
There
then
you go.
kind of slowly transitioned more into the classical side in terms of my career. But
Okay. Yeah.
was always playing guitar and writing songs and playing with
Yeah.
bands and things. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think,
Twins. You guys are
What
like
did you
kindred
make
spirits.
of Berkeley?
um, I thought Berkeley was it was kind of the perfect place for me to land because I don't think I would have packed up and moved to New York from Holland. You know what I
It
Uh-huh.
mean?
seems
To,
like
to
an
be a
intense
musician.
jump
Yeah.
to, you
Well,
needed
Yeah.
a
it would have been
launching point.
it
And
would
it's
have been
an
way
intense
too.
environment on its own, Berkeley.
Oh
It's
yeah,
a
right.
kind of its
Yeah.
own little
Yeah.
universe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can
And as it
imagine.
was having, because when you go to college, right, everybody's in the same boat. You make friends like
Yeah.
that, and
Yeah.
and you're living and breathing music 24/7 basically. And the people that I had started getting gigs with in New York, one in particular, her name's Jen Chapin, and she was at school with me, but she was from New York, and so she moved back there. And her dad was the singer Harry Chapin, who's a very famous 70s Cats in the
That
Cradle
sounds
and
super
stuff like that.
familiar. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh, that's the
Yeah.
okay. That's that
yeah,
name.
that's Harry
Okay.
Yeah.
Chapin, and
Oh
that was
wow.
her dad. He died young,
Mm.
but so I played in her band, and she would book gigs at the Bitter End, and so I would go down there, and
Played
that's
at the
how I
Bitter
got.
Ends.
Yeah, I love the
I've
Bitter
had
End.
friends play there so
Oh my
much.
God, yeah, I played so many gigs there,
I
and and
love
be-
I love that
and and
venue.
because I would go down there to play gigs, I got to know the people who ran the place, and then like got to know the guy who ran the jam session on Sunday night. And so
Yeah.
once I moved down to New York, I was in the house band in no time, right?
Wow. Yeah.
And to talk about a perfect environment to meet people, is being in the house in the house band of a jam session
Yeah, that's
at a place
serious.
like that.
That's
Yeah, yeah. And
the
so
place to be.
lots of gigs, multiple gigs a night,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how me and my friends earned our bread and butter and earned our stripes, obviously, right?
Sure.
Because
Sure.
there's nothing that'll get you ready for kind of anything than than
Well,
having to
yeah,
get your shit up
being
on
out and
stage.
doing it and live
Yeah,
performance itself is
yeah.
huge.
And
Yeah.
like be ready like that, right? Like set up your shit and you don't get to warm up, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
Yeah, it's
Right.
just
pack
Right.
like
it up
we're
and
on.
your gig starts, you know.
When did the transition more to bass happen for you? Because you mentioned you started on classical guitar.
I started classical guitar as a kid, and then
Yeah.
when I was about 16, I started playing bass
Oh,
for the
great.
same reason that all bass players play bass. There was already a band that had all the guitar players that they needed,
That's right.
and they
We've
didn't have a
got
bass
six guitar
player.
players. We
Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry, we need at least one bass in
yeah.
here.
yeah.
And so I was like, yeah, sure, that sounds like fun, and so I did, and then got super into it and kind of realized that it meshed with my personality and my, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some people are
Yeah.
just guitar players and some people are bass players. I'm a bass player.
You're a bass player.
I get
Yeah.
that vibe from you. Like
Yeah.
I mean,
that.
Yeah.
as if you can't tell that Jackie's a flautist, right?
Shut up, Marty.
I mean,
No,
how obvious is
you don't
that?
need to ruin it for him already. Like he didn't even form a fucking opinion
He
yet. Like
knew. He knew.
he might have been like maybe cello, like
No, he
maybe
took one look at
horn.
us and was just like,
I'm just gonna let you guys work this out.
smart.
No, this is part of the charm of our show is me and Marty dicking around and
I like it.
making our
Uh,
guest feel like, a part of it all. You
I
are
like
now.
it.
I mean, you're our friend
Oh
now,
yeah.
that's right.
so
I'm
you're
in the
Yeah.
living room.
stuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
But wow, so
Yeah.
so you had this journey in New York,
Yeah.
and then I mean, were you mostly playing with, I guess, what genre of music were you
A lot
playing?
of singer-songwriters,
Mm, okay, cool.
lots of like 45-minute gigs, you know what I mean, at the bitter end, and then
Yeah.
later on at the living room, and then later on still at Rockwood Music Hall, and like, those places were amazing for to kind of hone that craft and meet a ton of people and learn a ton of music, a ton. A buddy of mine who I played with once, we're on an elevator going up to like a rehearsal space, and he looks at me, he goes, "You must know more music than no one has ever heard than like anybody out there." Because I
I
was
feel like
doing
that's a
it.
great compliment,
Yeah,
honestly.
Well,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and so yeah, lots of gigs,
Wow.
and then eventually, you kind of like there's somebody who has like sort of like a regional road trip or something like that. You do that,
Hmm.
and then at some point, my first sort of like real tour presented itself, and I auditioned for it. That was with Gavin DeGraw in like '04.
Wow.
And I knew Gavin from the bitter end from, he'd come and
Oh, is that
sit
right?
in at that jam session. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, how
Wow.
cool.
Wow. That's
And
pretty amazing.
yeah, and
Yeah.
so then you're on a tour bus, and that's all exciting and new
Yeah.
and crazy. And
Well, that's such good advice, I think, in terms of like just making sure that you're putting yourself out there a lot and
yeah,
taking as many gigs as you can. With our last guest, we were talking about, taking advantage of that when you're young, like when you're like college and out of college age, and you can
yeah,
handle that kind of lifestyle of just gigging
yeah,
all the time and being out
yeah,
late every night.
yeah,
But it's like, you never know what you're going to learn. You never know who you're going to meet and what those people are going
absolutely.
to go on and do.
It's
You
such
may
a
not have thought much of Gavin DeGraw when you played with him in New York, but then look,
right.
look what he turned into.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And it's such a cliche, right? That, people are like, always play your gig as if you're, I don't know, auditioning for the biggest gig in the world or something like that. But
For
Mm.
it's
sure,
true.
for sure.
It's true.
Because you
And,
never know
and,
who's
and
watching. Yeah.
exactly. And not for, well, it can be for opportunistic reasons, but it's also just like the right thing to do. Like if you're going to do something, just do it well.
Do
Just
it right. Yeah, do it
be the
well.
best version of yourself,
Totally.
and even if it doesn't lead to anything, just still do it. You know what I
That's
mean?
right.
For you more
Yeah,
Yeah.
than
for you.
anything
Yeah,
else.
yeah,
That's
Hmm.
right.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
And
So
it's
like,
and it's tricky, like the thing I was going to mention is when I was doing that sort of lifestyle, right? Just gigs, as many gigs as it took to pay the rent and all that kind of stuff,
right.
right?
Yeah.
And more gigs still. But it's tricky because, there was a drummer named Anton Fier who lived in New York, and he's no longer alive. But at some point he was older than we were, and at some point he said, and I kind of forget the exact years that he was talking about, but he said, it used to be that gigs paid $150 and your rent was $300,
That's
in
right.
like
Yeah.
whatever, '80s or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And at the time we were having this conversation, it wasn't my conversation, it was a friend of mine, but and he was like, and now a gig is still $150, but your rent is 1,500, 2 grand, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You can still make it
So
happen,
true.
right?
That's
If
right.
Hmm.
you if you're doing 20 gigs a month or whatever, you're still making it happen. But it's,
It's
you really
different.
have to fight for
It's
it.
tight. It's tight.
Yeah.
And now I think, I mean, I don't know, like I've been, obviously I don't live in New York anymore, but like I think a gig is still $150. I don't think it'll ever change. But now the rent is, I don't know, what do people pay? 3, 4 grand? I don't even
Oh, it's
know,
insane.
in
It's
New York.
It's
insane.
yeah. Oh, in New York for sure, like
In New
at
York for
Yeah.
least
sure.
four.
And so, when we're talking about kind of like advice for people coming up, I don't know if that's a viable path where you just play gigs with people, and enough of it to pay your pay your rent and your grocery
I
bill.
know.
Well, I think too, I mean now, well, I wasn't alive in the 80s, but
Mhm.
but I feel like now even in the 2020s, right? Because that's where we're in, times
Yeah,
are just so different in terms of what your career could be. I mean,
yeah,
would you say, maybe the gigs themselves are not necessarily lucrative alone, to support your life and your lifestyle and what you want to do, but is
yeah.
there a way that, that can be supplemented in other ways? Like, is that what you recommend, for people to sort of work their way through and eventually get to where they want to be, like where you are, I mean,
Right.
you've climbed up many ladders, it seems like, to
Yeah,
get to
yeah.
this point.
No, I think that's a great point, and I think we'll get to that probably later in this
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
conversation, right?
For
Yeah.
sure.
Because that sort of like adjusting and pivoting came later for me, and I've done a fair amount of it, right?
Yeah.
Where I was like,
Interesting.
okay, I think I need to like tweak this thing or add
Hmm.
this thing to
Yeah.
make it
That
all work.
flexibility, right? And
Yeah,
adaptability is
yeah,
huge. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
So, like
S-
many musicians and actors before you, you made the grand pilgrimage from New York to LA.
yeah,
Tell us
yeah.
about that.
that was an interesting thing. Like I remember at some point I lived in an apartment in Brooklyn in Carroll Gardens, and I remember having this thought that when something like I know I'm not going to do this forever. This
Uh-huh.
being living on a fourth floor walk up where you know, hump your gear down to the subway to go into Manhattan to go play a gig, and you
Right.
know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's,
of
It's
course.
a
I
grind.
loved
It's
it.
a
I loved every
grind.
minute of it, but
Yeah,
that's not something I could see myself doing, for forever.
sure.
And
Sure.
I remember thinking, like, I know not going to be doing this thing forever, and I don't know what I will be doing, but I guess time will tell. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wasn't like worried about it, but
You
I
were
was
going
like,
with the wind.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
feel that very
yeah,
hard, like these
yeah,
days.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then a little bit later, so this would have been around 2009. I wasn't doing any touring with anybody in particular at that point, and I had some gigs and some recordings, but it was kind of like, like I wonder what's next. And I met these guys who were in a band that at the time was called Pete and Jay, and later renamed Harper Blinn after the last names of the
Oh,
of the two singer-songwriters that were. I don't know if do you remember
yeah,
those?
I know the that name. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
And it was, like I said, it was 2009, and I met those guys, and they were looking for a band member. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Not just a person to hire for gigs, which they had been doing with a number of different bass players, all of whom I knew. Um, and and let me see, 2009, I was in my late 30s at that
Mm,
point. And I was a little bit older than those guys by about 13 years,
mm.
but I think I got away with it. And and we just got along great. And I did some gigs with them,
Yeah.
and then we started talking about the idea of me joining the band. And I said, look, and I had my daughter at the time who I was supporting. I still have that daughter. She's all grown up now. And I said, I'd love to jump in this van with you guys, but I have, certain
Of
responsibilities. And they
course.
were like,
Sure, sure,
we'll
sure.
figure it out. And we did figure it out. All of that to say is I joined that band, and it was sort of like a kind of like a backwards order of how most people do these things. 'Cause most people join a band when they're still a teenager or in their 20s or whatever, and do that for a
Yeah.
while, and
Stay
then
with that
maybe
band.
they
Yeah.
do like the sideman thing. And
Right.
I had 12 years of being a sideman under my belt, and I was like, I just looked at these guys and I was like, I really like these guys. I love their music. I love how they just do their whole thing. I'm just gonna do it. And so I did
Wow.
Wow.
for the next like 6 years, and I kind of just hit pause on my entire sideman endeavors
Hmm.
for that long. And over the course of those 6 years, we started sniffing around LA, and we're trying to figure out like what was the right thing, just trying to
Hmm.
have a go at it, trying to do the thing, trying to get the record deal,
Sure.
trying to
Yeah.
really make this into a thing. And it was a great band in a lot of ways. And and like I said, we ended up in LA because it kind of felt like maybe that was fertile ground for us, and we sort of felt like we had maybe reached a plateau in New York.
Yeah.
And ultimately the band broke up 2015-ish, and we all stayed because we all had met a bunch of people and loved being
Yeah.
in LA.
Yeah. You start
And
building a life and
yeah, yeah, and LA had become a place where a lot of people from New York had moved, and from other
mm,
places too, and it seemed like a really creative time.
yeah.
And so, that thought I had in New York, like, and I was like, okay, here I am, and now I'm living in a ground floor apartment, and I have a car, and the weather's nice, and all right, that'll work.
Not too
The
shabby.
beauties of
That's it.
California.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
I
Yeah.
wonderful.
understand. I
Yeah,
totally get it. I feel that
yeah.
way every time I go. I'm like, why am I leaving?
Yeah. People always ask me like, which do you like better, New York or LA? And I always say, and I don't think it's a cop out. It's just the truth. I like New York better for that time in my life. and I like LA better for this time in my life.
That
I think
makes
that makes a lot
sense,
of sense.
though.
Yeah.
That's so
Yeah,
valid.
Yeah.
Like, who
yeah,
the fuck says it's a cop out?
yeah. Well, you know what? I don't think anyone has ever said that. I just made that up in my own head, like some entity that passes judgment. But
No, but
it's
Yeah.
it's
never
so
happened.
true. It's so true, though. I mean, we've everyone we've interviewed has that same sensation, I guess, that same feeling that everywhere that they've been, they were meant to be there at that time. So,
Mhm.
I mean, I guess it's safe to say your time in New York prepared you, shaped you, molded
Sure.
you
Yeah.
for LA. I mean, I guess, what were, or maybe in a little bit, you could talk about just some of the differences you find between New York and LA in terms of being a musician, being an artist. I feel like some of our listeners, they probably think, well, duh, I want to move to New York. I want to,
Yeah,
do
Or
the
LA.
thing, or LA,
Yeah.
yeah.
they're so, opposite sides of the country, vastly different.
Yeah.
It's so hard to say because of the time shift, right?
Yeah.
Like New York now isn't the New York that I knew,
Yeah.
Sure, sure,
Yeah.
sure.
and LA now isn't the LA that once was.
Right.
Right.
And so, you can't really have that conversation without having a conversation about what has happened to music and what has happened to the idea of having a career in music,
Yeah.
Right.
right? Um, because it presented its challenges back then, and those are totally different from not totally different, but you know what I mean. There's a whole new set of challenges now
Yeah.
compared to then. Um, but in terms of like what always struck me is that New York seemed like the kind of place where you could go there. You can go there and figure it out, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like, all right, this is downtown and this is okay, this is where some clubs are and this is where music is
Yeah.
happening and
Yeah.
that's where I can
The
go and
grid system
live.
is very helpful.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And LA always seemed to me like a place where it'd be really hard to come here cold and without a plan and without knowing anyone, right? Like where do you
Right.
even begin with this place, right? It's
Yeah.
so
Hmm.
Yeah.
sprawling and crazy and there's not like a center. And so, but of course, moving here with a band as part of a band felt really safe. You are your own little gang and you
Uh-huh.
go everywhere together and you go to gigs and you play gigs and you meet
Right.
people.
There's like a
So
reason for you to be there.
there's a
Yeah.
reason. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I always say about this place. You need a purpose and you need a posse.
I love that.
Oh my God, I love that
And
so
I and I
much.
had both, I was lucky
Oh,
to have both. And then when that fell away, we in the band had been here long enough that was okay too. Um and then that sort of, when we're talking about like my story and the pivots that I've made, the falling apart of that band kind of like indirectly led me to my mastering activities,
Yeah.
which is when the band fell apart, what I didn't want to do is pick up the phone and call everyone I know and be like, "Hey, yeah, remember that band that basket that I put all my eggs in? Well, it didn't work out. So, like, do you have a tour for me?" Or you know what I mean? I
yeah,
didn't want to be like that. It's the smell of desperation is you know what I mean? Like, I didn't
yeah.
like it, and
Yeah.
so I
I
kind
get
of
that.
started looking, and also like. And it seems a little crazy now that I thought that way, but I wasn't sure that that ship hadn't sailed for me in terms
Mm.
of just like being a bass player. I was like, I know I'm a good bass player, but I don't know if anyone gives a shit, right?
Yeah.
It was
Right.
sort of how I how I was.
That's so real, though.
Yeah. Who
That's a
It
doesn't
was
feel that
real,
way?
real.
it's
Yeah.
a
It
real
was real,
feeling.
No matter how
right?
good you are, I think everyone feels that way.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and so what like I said, I didn't want to like be panicky about it and start calling everyone I knew. I was like, if that's still a role that I'm meant to do, it'll happen. It'll happen over time. And
Yeah.
I kind of wanted it to be organic and not sort of put my thumb on the scale too much.
Hmm.
But I also knew I needed to make some money. And that's when I really started thinking about, okay, so like what else can I do while I wait for my sort of baseness
Yeah.
to be a thing again, my sideman
Sure.
thing.
Yeah.
And so um and I saw an ad on Facebook, not an ad, a post on Facebook by a friend of mine, my friend Judson Crane, who had moved also from New York to LA and was working as a composer for like licensing music
Oh,
and
cool. Yeah.
film stuff and
Yeah.
Very cool.
documentary music. And it was the studio that he was in was kind of like just his operation, and he just needed help keeping the place running. But he was kind of looking for like an intern, like a young person. And I
Mm.
was not a young person, but and I didn't really, I didn't call him right away, and it just kind of marinated in my brain. And a couple days later, I called him up and I was like, hey, I saw your post, like you need someone to help you run the place. And he's like, yeah, do you know anyone? And I was like, well, I was thinking of me, and he was like, wait, really? And I was like, because I was like way overqualified, right?
Yeah.
And 10 years older than he was. And then we talked about it for a while, and I kind of like explained my reasoning for it. And he was like, well, I'll tell you what, why don't we just try it and see if we both like it? And if either of either of us doesn't think it's a good idea, then we'll
Yeah.
stop. And I was like, perfect. And so I took a job at his place and like helping him keep the place running. And he immediately started kind of throwing me into the composing thing, which was really new for me.
Oh,
And
cool.
and I
That is
started
cool.
kind of boned up on Pro Tools
Yeah. Yeah.
and and he had like a second workstation that he wasn't using, and so boom, I was like put to work. But also just like real like simple stuff like answering emails, like because that's what he needed, and
Yeah.
making phone calls and stuff like that. And but it was a crash course in composing for licensing stuff, and I could ask him anything, right? Just like
Yeah.
really anything, like what's your favorite timpani sample out of all the shit that we have here? You know
All
what I
right.
mean? And like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
so it was
love that
cool.
though.
Yeah, it
That
was really
sounds
cool.
fun and
Yeah,
cool.
and so I did that and wrote and recorded and mixed stuff that ended up in his library that ended up getting licensed and then
Yeah.
and so that was really cool. And then
And had you
um
had any of that sort of primer, like in previous recording sessions, like kind of checking out, like what is the mix engineer doing? What's the mastering engineer doing?
kind of like
Any
through
of that?
osmosis, you know what I mean? Like
Right. Okay.
not so targeted, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean like all those years that you're hanging around in studio, right? There's some whiz, like you know what I mean, and the
Yeah. Yeah.
cursor's flying across the screen. But yeah, no, of course, and learning what sounds good and what you like and what
Yeah.
works um uh and so that was and so for a while it looked like maybe that would be kind of a parallel track for me,
Hmm.
and then as I was doing this, friends were realizing that with the disintegration of our band that they could hire me for gigs and stuff like that, and so I started doing more and more of that, and this studio job was, like it was very flexible. I could always be like, hey, got a rehearsal. Hey, I'm going on tour for 3 weeks or whatever. Okay, bye.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Wow.
That's
That's
so
great.
yeah,
nice.
Yeah.
That's
yeah, it was
amazing.
cool.
Yeah.
It was cool. And then your friend and mine, Alex Deason, called me up. This must have been 2016, I think, ish.
Mm.
Um, he called me up and he's like, "Hey, I just had some stuff mastered, and I forget if it was his stuff or somebody else he was working with." And he's like, "I've had the stuff mastered by a reputable mastering place in LA." And he's like, "I don't think it sounds very good. Like, am I crazy? Would you have a listen to it and see if I'm nuts?" And I said, "Sure." And so he sent it to me, and I understood what he was talking about, right? Like it was a
Mm.
little, like they kind of crushed the hell out of it and
Yeah.
Oh shit.
squeezed the life out of it, which is, it's surprising coming from a place that should know better, but it happens, right? And then almost as a joke, I was like, I'll see if I can beat it because
Haha.
because of the composing thing, I had started using, the plugins
Right.
and
Sure.
Pro Tools at the time to make my own stuff sound as good as I could. And so I did and kept it simple, a little, whatever, a little bit of, I don't even remember, a little bit of compression and limiting and
Yeah.
maybe some EQ or maybe not even.
Wow.
And I sent it to him and he was like, that's exactly what I was looking for.
Yeah.
You're the Alex Deason whisperer.
Yeah, yeah. And he goes, "What did you do?" And I'm like, "Very little."
Well, I think with
Well, keep it
mastering,
simple.
that's a lot of times key. I mean, you have to know what the track needs.
Yep.
Listen, I bet that there are a lot of our listeners who are listening to this and saying, "What the hell is mastering?" Can you give
Good
us
point.
your like Chat GPT, like
Yeah,
Reader's Digest version?
Yes.
sure.
What is mixing and what is mastering, and why are they different, and why should they usually be done by different people?
Yeah, a great point. Mixing is after you record. Let's assume that it's a band, right,
Yeah.
that we're talking about. After you record the stuff, mixing is the process of balancing all the different elements of what make up that music. The drums and within the drums, the kick drum and the snare and the hi-hat and the bass and the guitars and it all has to sound right together, and that
Hmm.
means that you are, either at a real mixing board or a virtual one inside your computer,
Yeah.
and you make that track sound the best that it can. And basically mastering zooms out, and let's say you have 10 tracks that are to make up an album,
Hmm.
and so what a mastering engineer does is make sure that those 10 tracks all sound like they belong together. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
one is
Yeah.
just like crazy loud, and then the other one is, and so you correct any sort of like maybe mistakes that have crept in, like, like a song might just be a little too bright or a little too dull, and so you use EQ and compression and limiting to make those tracks feel like they all belong together.
Right.
Um, or even a single track, right? Like if I get a track to master, it might be that whoever mixed it spent a lot of time in it, and you sort of can't see the forest for the trees anymore,
Very
and
true. Yeah.
Mhm.
lost perspective on it, and
Yeah.
and and then you send it
Yeah.
to the mastering engineer and you hear it with fresh ears, and it's immediately apparent, like,
Yeah.
oh well, like this is what's going on. And sometimes it needs very little. Sometimes it just needs to be a little bit louder to kind of compete with whatever else lives in the world.
Yeah.
And and so yeah, that's
Yeah.
the
So you
why.
got into mastering, I guess, kind of quite accidentally then, or just kind
Totally
of by
accidentally. Like
happenstance.
fell ass backwards into it.
Yeah.
And
And I
and
didn't actually know that Alex gets the
yeah,
credit for that.
yeah, yeah, no,
You get the credit, Alex. But I feel like that's the best way to fall in.
Well, yeah.
totally,
So
totally.
how did that
And
evolve over time that into
well,
this
well,
major component of your career?
it started right then and there,
Yeah.
because he, this was not something I had ever envisioned for myself, or thought that I had the skills or the ears or the, you know what I mean, the technological know-how, like not in a million years. But I thought I did a good job on that one job, and Alex insisted on having me do more. And then he was like working on something else or talked to someone. He was like, "Hey, you should hit up my buddy Whynot." And I was like, I can't I can't charge money for this. And then at some point it was like, well,
Why
or
not?
maybe you can. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Why not?
Why not?
Why not?
And
Why not? Why not?
and
Why not?
so it started small,
Yeah.
and similar to the bass thing I was talking about not wanting to kind of like force it. I was like, I'm just gonna kind of see where this goes.
Yeah.
And I wasn't like, I'm mastering engineer and, hang up my shingle or whatever. And, I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna see, and like total imposter syndrome, like
Oh,
like
sure. Yeah.
Of
major
course.
imposter syndrome at
Yeah.
first. But
Yeah.
I was like, listen, if people keep sending me stuff, I'll just keep doing it. And
Exactly. Obviously, you're doing something right.
yeah, yeah. And so that was whatever that was, 9 years ago. And it's been, I've shed the imposter syndrome. I've realized that my approach of my fairly minimalist approach is one that there's room for it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's room for it, and it's sort of an antidote against what can go wrong.
Hmm.
Most of the
Hmm.
time it doesn't go wrong, but sometimes it does, and sometimes people just want to do too much, and for reasons that we can get into. But
That's
I
a
think
whole separate podcast on
yeah, it's all
on
separate
Oh my
mastering.
podcast.
God, we should have
Yeah.
another episode with you about audio do's and don'ts with why not,
Yeah.
Well,
guys.
and I think that my background as a bass player as a musician helps. And having spent all the years that I have either in studios or listening to a mix down of stuff that I've recorded, or once the thing is ready and mastered, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I know what I like to hear. And I know that sometimes, well, always only do whatever needs doing, and
Right. Yeah.
you could have a difference of opinion about what is necessary,
Yeah.
but but I've learned to trust my ears, and if all it needs is to be a little bit louder, then that's all I'm going to do.
Right. Right.
And so yeah, it served me well. I haven't put any effort into growing that business other than on
Just word of
Instagram.
mouth.
I'll just put newly mastered and I'll just have another little Instagram story. That's all I do. And
Amazing.
the reason I'm not trying to grow it anymore is because it feels like the right amount of work,
Mm.
Great.
and the associated income with what I still consider to be my first love and biggest love, which is to play the bass.
Yeah. Well, that
Would you?
brings us. Oh, sorry, Jay. Go
Oh,
ahead.
nope, Marty,
Nope,
you go
nope,
ahead.
nope. Ladies first.
Well, I was gonna say, Marty, maybe it's the same thing you were gonna say.
I
Would
hope
you
so, because
say
I'm dying to
that,
get to it.
would you say that this love of bass, love of playing, being a musician, would that be directly related, I guess, to your current mastering career? Do they work in tandem with one another? Which you
Mm.
sort of said that they do, but
Yeah,
do you think that without that, without your just widespread career as a bassist, that
right.
you would have been led to this point?
Well,
No, I
let me
don't.
piggyback on your
Yeah,
question,
yeah,
just
yeah. Go
because
ahead.
as someone who has mixed his own songs to varying degrees of success,
Yeah,
like locking in the kick and the bass as like the skeleton, like that's one of the trickiest things to do once you get
mhm,
all of the other elements involved.
yeah,
So I would imagine, being a bass player and like in live performance and like locking in with that kick and with the
yeah.
drummer, that probably gives you a fairly unique perspective. Is that fair to say? Or at least in terms of how to listen to it and
That's
analyze it,
interesting.
diagnose it.
That's interesting. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I can certainly tell when that's off.
Yeah, you must have
Uh,
such an instinct for it in a way
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
maybe
But I mean,
non-bass players and non-drummers wouldn't.
right,
Mm,
right, right. But I mean, obviously, like if I'm mastering something, there's not necessarily anything I can do about it, right?
Yeah.
Like if that's off, and I have to say that I'm lucky in that um it's not a random pool that I'm drawing from in terms of like what I'm mastering, right? Like I have in the many years that I've been a musician, I have met so many people,
Yeah.
and a lot of the mastering stuff that comes to me sort of comes from that pool of incredibly talented people. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
what I'm saying is like I don't have to deal with a lot of like sort of beginner stuff. You know what I
Gotcha.
mean?
mm,
And I'd be happy to like that doesn't bother me. Every once in a while, you get something where you're like, okay, so this is not like this is not great, but a lot of the stuff that I get is great and well written and well recorded and well conceived and interesting, and that makes it really fun. And in terms of your question about like if the path would have led me here, I don't think so at all. And I don't think that I am necessarily like I'm not the guy who's going to just be holed up in a studio forever. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Right.
Like
Right.
if this is all I did, I would have to I would be very active in like scheduling my social life and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But as it is, I get to do both, and I'm really happy that I get to do both. And they're such great complements and counterparts, right?
Yeah.
The bass, playing bass in bands, it's the most inherently social activity,
Of course.
and it's always different. It can get kind of samey too, but really, you know what I mean? Like the fact that I get to like travel on somebody else's dime and get paid to play music, what?
Yeah, that's
That's
amazing.
I
that's a
hope nobody
dream.
ever finds out that I'm doing this. It seems like some kind
Your,
of
I mean, yeah,
racket.
your bio says that because I read about you and now follow you on Instagram. But so follow me back if you haven't. But it says, I mean, you've been on TV, you've played on late night shows, you've played with like literally 1 million people and anyone and everyone. I mean, that is like I would say the dream in terms of
Yeah.
playing your instrument.
I
I mean,
agree.
I'm a classical musician really as with Marty. I play for him whenever he has me.
Yeah.
And I mean I love classical flutes. I love classical music. It's beautiful, but I was on an album once of my friends playing just his stuff,
Yeah.
flute. He just wrote a
Mm.
flute part for some of his songs. And I was like, fuck, this is so cool.
Yeah.
I want to do this all the time.
And I,
And obviously, you have a plethora of flutists in LA, but if you're ever like here and you're desperate, I would love to play
there
for
you go.
anything that you have
Yeah.
or write. I mean, it's such a different energy, than playing
Oh
in an
man.
orchestra. I mean, playing in an orchestra is great. It's great
Yeah.
fun and I love it, but
Yeah.
it's also
Yeah.
it's different. Like, to what you're saying, I feel like a lot of our listeners would say, well, this is the dream, like, this is what you
Yeah.
should strive to do
Well,
ultimately if you
well,
love
yeah,
it.
yes, and I feel that way. Like I mean, yes, it can be tough in certain ways, I'm sure, but anyone claiming that this is hard work, you're full of shit. And I will never take it for granted. I will never take it for granted that, and I know I worked hard for it, and I know I've taken all those tiny little steps, right, to get me to a place where I can do this and feel secure and feel
Yeah.
like this is not going to go away. And
Right.
because I've had that thought, you know what I mean? Like let's in terms of what we're talking about, like I told you I have a daughter and I've supported her, and like there were times where like I was like, this feels risky. This feels like a
Mm-hmm.
gamble. I hope it pays off. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes holding on to something like that is not the right thing to do. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so
Right.
I'm not going to sit here and say like, look, just like if you just keep at it, it's all going to work out. You know what I mean? Because it's tough. It's a tough business. Music is a tough business, um, and to have consistent work and consistent income to the
Yeah.
point where you're not worried about your growing old and being somebody's problem. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
Uh, there are no guarantees,
I
but I
know.
but I will say that um, that the reward is great if you manage to do something that you're that passionate about and have that be what you do for a living. I
For
mean,
sure.
there's nothing like
I know. I know, Jackie, you're gonna have to be taking care of me when I'm old.
it.
Fuck.
All right. Well, this 90s boy is dying to talk about the Wallflowers.
Sure. Yeah.
So let's do
Yeah,
it.
Let's do
Because
it.
when
same.
I
Even
was
though I'm
learning to play
younger
the
than
guitar,
Marty.
when I was learning to play the guitar,
Yeah.
like it was Goo Goo Dolls, Wallflowers, Oasis. That was like the top five. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I have like secondhand starstruckness.
Yeah.
We're
But it's
fangirling a
just
little bit
so
over
so so so
that.
cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, tell us how did you meet Jacob Dylan and how did all of that happen? Because you've been playing with them for a good while now, right?
For about 4 years or
4 years,
so.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It started. So I was playing with the producer Butch Walker,
Yeah.
who at the time lived in LA still. He doesn't anymore, but my buddy Mark Stepero, a drummer who is in the Wallflowers now with me, he had been playing with Butch for a long time, and that thing that I was talking about, where my band broke up, that I moved to LA
Yeah.
with, and I kind of started thinking in parallel tracks and pivoting a little bit. Mark was one of the first people who said, "Oh, we can hire you again." And so Butch had a tour in the summer of 2016, and Mark got me on that tour. And
Wow.
so that was the beginning of me playing with Butch. And Butch doesn't do a whole lot of touring because his bread and butter is producing hit
Hmm.
records. And
Yeah.
so
Right.
that's what he spends most of his year doing. But it was super fun when we did, and Butch also had a couple of benefit shows. Like there was an annual benefit in here in LA in Topanga Canyon for that was in honor of his dad, and so we do that every year. And most of the times that we did it, Jacob would come. Jacob and Butch are really good friends, and uh, and so that's how we met Jacob, and we would play a couple of Wallflower songs
Wow.
with him
Mhm.
for those. And so we had a really good rapport, and then Butch had wanted to produce a Wallflowers record for a really long time, and Jacob uh, always kind of held him off because he would say, I value our friendship too much.
Oh, well,
And which is which is smart, you know what I mean?
yeah, that's pretty wise.
That takes a
That's
Yeah.
lot of sort of self-knowledge about, and it wasn't anything crazy, but just like Jacob knew that you can start second guessing yourself and driving whoever you work with crazy, and
yeah.
he didn't want to subject Butch to that, but Butch persisted, and eventually it did happen, and the band they put together was me and Mark as the rhythm section, and then
Mm.
Aaron Embry on keys, who I didn't know at the time, and then and Jacob brought in Val McCallum on guitar, who's Jackson Brown's guitar player.
Oh, cool.
Val's amazing,
Whoa.
as is Aaron, and so that was the band, and it was it was great. It was kind of like a old school band in a room,
Yeah.
work out the song in the morning, um, you know, keep playing it until you make it all the way to the end of the song, and then that's probably what's going to be the song that they're going to start overdubbing guitars on. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
like Butch works fast, and so we made that record that ended up becoming Exit Wounds, and
Yeah.
that I ended up mastering, right? But,
Yeah.
but Butch was really like the first sort of um artist slash producer of note who decided to throw me a bone and give me a shot. And so I mastered one of
Oh,
his
so
records.
that was Butch that asked you to
That was
master
Butch.
it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Hmm.
that's awesome.
Yeah,
Wow.
That's
yeah,
Now
amazing.
yeah,
that's fairly, as far as I know, that's fairly unique that like someone in the band would
yeah,
end up being the mastering engineer, right?
totally. Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah.
How
Pretty unusual.
did that kind of play into it at all? Did you kind of stay pure to your, kind of minimalist process, or are you do you feel like that gives you an advantage, a disadvantage, neither?
Being in the band,
Yeah.
n- uh, to my like in my head, the two had nothing to do with one another. Like I didn't even
Interesting.
think of
Okay.
That's so
and I'm
interesting.
mastering a record that I played bass on, but like I don't think I even like spend one thought on the bass. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like on the bass guitar.
Right,
Like
right, right.
I spent thought on the low end and the high end and everything in between. But
Yeah.
no, it's just like it's just a job that needs to get done, and you
Yeah.
do it. I
Holistic approach, I would say. That's very
kinda, yeah,
holistic of you.
yeah.
Hmm.
And also like there isn't a right and wrong, but there sort of is a right and wrong in terms of like how you judge the end result, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's almost like a little puzzle. Like you just you gotta figure out the
Sure.
puzzle, and when it's right, and you know it when it's
Yeah.
right for you.
Right.
Um, and so yeah, it's a cool sort of confluence, right? Of
Hmm.
people and situations and tasks
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
you're right. It's like Butch is the one who had me master his record. Butch is the one who got me on that session. And then and because it was COVID, right? Because we recorded that record in 2019 and 2020, and then
Yeah.
COVID hit. And so they pushed back the release of the record. And once
Right.
they did in 21, is there was some like TV stuff that had to be done, and because it was still COVID times, it all had to kind of like be they had to be smart about it, and
Yeah.
and it all happened in LA, and because we were in LA, we did those TV shows like or the pre-recorded sort of versions of playing on a late night show.
Yeah.
um and then some gigs. I'm like, hey, you guys want to do this gig? Okay, sure. You want to do these couple of gigs in Texas? Okay, sure. And then eventually it was like, Jacob's
Yeah.
manager called,
You're just the bass
and
player now.
yeah, and he was like, you guys just want to do this? We're
Of
like,
course.
Sure. Yeah, that sounds like fun.
Well,
And so,
I remember when Exit Wounds came out, and I
mhm.
remember like where I was sitting, like when I just happened to be on my phone, like on iTunes or whatever, or Spotify, and just seeing like, oh my God, a new Wallflowers record, like what the hell? And
Cool.
was so excited and loved it. I mean, it sounds great, and the bass guitar was fantastic on it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, and then I just I couldn't believe it, like when I was just thinking to myself like the guy who just mastered the Wallflowers album is mastering like my silly little song. Like it's just, like one of those small world situations
Yeah.
and worlds colliding situations. It just
Yeah.
felt so profound and so cool.
Yeah, man, and I love that. You know what I mean? Like the sort of tentacles of a network, right?
Yeah, like
Yeah,
the
of course.
intricacies of
Yeah, yeah.
this music world that
That,
we're all living in. Because
that's the
now,
best.
I mean, yeah, when Marty told me we were interviewing you, and your name did sound familiar to me, but I was like, who is this man?
Because I think we mentioned you in Alex's
Yeah, and I looked you
episode.
up, and
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like, oh my God, he's done everything.
yeah, yeah.
He's played with everyone and done everything. And
Really,
I
really
mean,
impressive.
it's so impressive, but we're all coming it always comes back full circle, because I feel like at the end of the day, we're all just musicians trying
That's
to
exactly right.
make
Yeah,
our
trying to
way
make it
in this
work.
world. And musicians, they're just like us.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like they're
yeah,
just people
Yeah.
too.
yeah.
um so would you say, I mean, so now you're in LA,
Mhm.
right? So you live there, and would you say it's your career is now equal parts gigging and mastering, or like more one than the other?
Still more, more the Bayside, which I'm happy
Uh-huh.
about.
Cool.
But I, at some point I, kind of like actively looked into the feasibility of doing mastering while on the go. So like
Yeah.
on headphones or on smaller speakers or something, right? Because I knew that I was, going to be doing, I wasn't going to stop touring anytime soon, and I didn't like the idea of like not being able to take work,
Sure.
if I didn't have to turn it down. And so I got pretty deep into that rabbit hole, and found some examples of really great mastering engineers. Glenn Schick is the guy that I kind of like latched onto, a really interesting guy who actually, like, there's some ties with him and Butch, like all the way back to like Atlanta, Georgia. It's really, really funny. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Cool.
he loved traveling, and he figured out how to make it work for him. And so I found a set of headphones that I loved, and then I kind of like put myself to the test for like a period of time where I would
Cool.
do a mastering job on headphones, finish it, and then check myself on my speakers in my studio,
Yeah.
and see if there were any surprises. And after I had done that for a while, because at first I was a little sort of almost like maybe not apologetic, but a little sheepish about it, right? To people whose music I mastered, like, hey, just so you know, I'm doing this one on headphones. So, when you listen to it, like
Yeah.
maybe make sure you listen to it on some speakers. And then after a while, I was like, I don't need to do that. I
Yeah.
can just do this. There aren't any surprises really. And so now half the stuff I do, maybe more, is on headphones, and I can do it on the go. And that's another, it's a great feature of touring with the Wallflowers. We stay in nice hotels, and the first half of the day is kind of
Yeah, you're free, right?
yours to
Yeah.
do, and I go get my bougie latte, and
Of
take
course.
it back to the room.
Obviously.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I, yeah,
Oh,
and
that's
I
the
just I
life.
just set up, and whatever needs mastering. I'm not like mastering all the time. I'm not mastering every day, but pretty close. You know what I
That's
mean?
great.
Yeah.
Well, now I know when I need something mastered.
Now you know.
I know who I'm gonna hit up. I
Yeah,
won't
well,
throw you
hopefully
my
hopefully
middle school
you'll
band
get a
shit,
little
but
work thrown your way from this.
no, for sure, for sure. I mean,
Uh,
I've always really, I mean, I admire bassists in general. Like, I think what you guys got to do is just, it's acrobatic. Like, I mean, as a flutist, like we're on the high end, like our fingers just kind of,
Yeah.
But I mean, for you guys, like, there's a bassist in like seventh grade band that I like help him fucking tune every day, and I'm
Oh
like,
my
this
God.
is so fucked, dude.
Yeah.
Like, his bass is broken half the
Yeah.
time. I'm
Well,
like,
it's it's so foundational, and in different aspects you can get away with weakness in other areas, but it's like the bass
Yeah.
and the drum aren't. If your rhythm section isn't
no,
solid,
you like
Yeah.
cannot
Yeah.
you
fuck that
know,
up. Like, you
yeah,
have to
yeah,
keep it going.
Yeah.
But yeah, I admire it so much. But the fact that you've been able to tie this career together, it's really wrapped up in such a beautiful bow for
yeah,
you.
such
And
a
I
cool
think
combination, and to
it's
be doing
incredible.
them both at such a high level is
Well,
extraordinary.
and what's interesting too is we're talking about sort of like my one's role as a bass player and how it relates to the mastering side of it. Like obviously as a bass player, you have to be more than okay with. You have to feel good about that supportive role, right?
Yeah.
If depending on the kind of music, but the kind of music that I
Right.
like, that I play, like absolutely. I'm as my buddy Mark, my drummer buddy Mark says, we're the guys shoveling coal in the engine room. You know what I mean? And
But that
and
ship
and
ain't moving without
No, it's
it
not.
without
ain't
the
moving.
engine.
It
That's
ain't
for
moving, man.
sure.
You're gonna hit that fucking iceberg.
That's
But
for sure.
but I love that role, and it's the perfect counterpart to mastering, because mastering too is like you're inherently supporting, right,
Yeah.
the creation of this
Everyone,
music
every
before
part.
goes out to the world, and so it's nice to kind of like be part of the beginning of it and part of the end of it.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Oh, that's
That's
so
cool.
cool.
It's
Yeah.
amazing.
You've been really generous of your time. We like to end with two sort of particular questions if you're up for it.
Okay. Yeah. Go
So,
ahead.
first one, what advice, if there's, like a younger person listening to this thinking, damn it, I want to be the next Why Not? What do you think is the most important
I
advice?
do. I want to be the next
I want to
one.
be the next Why Not.
I would say, and this sort of goes outside of music, but I would say, and we've touched on this, like um, keep your ears and your eyes open to opportunities and
Yeah.
to little signals that maybe something needs to be tweaked, or right. We
Yeah.
talked
Yeah.
about the pivot,
Right.
and I
Yeah.
feel I feel I've done it a couple times, and at the time, you know. At the time, it felt hard. It felt tough. Like there was a point I had just gone through a breakup. I was living here, but there was almost nothing here. I had like a shitty desk to hand me down, and I had a bed, like a
Yeah.
mattress, and very little else. And I was like, but I didn't panic and I didn't despair.
Right.
But I was like, I had a little mantra, which was, "It's a motherfucker." That was like my mantra at that time. And I
I
and I
love
That's a
that.
good one.
I'm gonna
and
start
I,
using that.
Motherfucker.
I'm gonna
What
steal
was
it's a
that. That's a
motherfucker,
motherfucker.
Jackie,
because it isn't
what was
always
Alex's, the one that we were gonna put on the t-shirt?
Oh, fuck. Was it
about throwing
something
shit.
about,
Failure is coming.
yeah, failure is
Failure is
coming. That
Failure
was
coming.
is
it. That was
coming.
it. And
Well,
we were like, we love that too.
yeah, yeah, I love Alex. No, but so for me, it was this idea that I'm just going to keep my head down. I'm going to do the work. And if I keep my head down and do the work and do a good job, whatever it is that I'm currently doing, another thing will come and another thing will come and another thing will come. And soon enough, those things will be whatever my life is at that point.
Yeah.
And I realized, it was tough. It was tough, but it wasn't enough to make me despair. And I think that's what I would say. Like the path doesn't always have to be clear, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
sometimes the path isn't clear at all, but
No.
it might. But if you keep your senses alive,
Yeah.
maybe the thing will show up as it did for me, where you're like, oh, there's a thing I could do, or here's a thing I think I could be good at, and it
Yeah.
might not be what you had thought of before at all,
Mm,
but it might open up into something new, as it has for
Wow.
me. And
That's
so,
so
yeah,
great.
that's super
and
wise.
and yeah, be open to tiny little course corrections or huge pivots, right?
Yes.
Like you never know when either of those will be right for you, and you certainly don't know what what it might lead you
Yeah,
to.
that's right.
Yeah.
And then part two is for other kinds of musicians, for that orchestral conductor out there, or the Broadway singer, or whoever in other domains of music. What would you share with them? Like what would surprise them most about being a touring bass player and a mastering engineer? What do you think they would?
The thing that I always say when people talk about touring in a rock and roll band and all the implications that come with that, I'm always like, you have no idea how boring we are. Oh my God, we're boring. Like we're
Are you
like,
telling me it's not cocaine and strippers every single night?
Sex,
no,
drugs,
it
and
is.
rock
It
and
is
roll.
just not 24/7. No.
Oh, okay.
No, no, but like we're so boring. Like at some point you value like taking care of yourself so that you don't feel like shit, and feeling like shit it only takes that. You know what I
That's
mean?
so not rock and roll,
Yeah.
And
though.
and like I know it's not rock and roll at all. One of the most exciting things that happens to me when I'm on tour is when the venue has a washer and a dryer, and I
Oh,
realize
how
and
That's
funny is
like the
and I
that?
realize
dream.
that I've come to the end of my clean laundry, or like I have like 2 or 3 days left. I'm like, oh, there's washer and dryer, cool. And you do my laundry.
Man,
I
that's the
feel
new
way
cocaine,
I
huh?
feel way too good. I feel way too good, and so yeah.
We got to make merch that says like washer and dryer is peak, like
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
and have like your handle on there, like why not Jansveld?
yeah, yeah.
Washer and dryer. I mean I get that.
That's
It's
so
like
cool.
it's like a good cup of tea,
Oh yeah.
like
Yeah.
washer dryer,
A great
like you're
coffee, like a great coffee shop,
oh,
that'll make my day. Which
Oh yeah.
thankfully we live in an era now where almost everywhere that I go on tour, there's a bougie coffee shop with a bicycle on the wall and a
Yeah.
guy with a twirly
Yep. That's
mustache.
doing really
nice.
good
Almost
stuff.
That's
everywhere
Yep. Yep.
what you need in your
that
life.
take their latte art seriously, and I'm like, all right, cool. Like,
That's
all right,
amazing.
my
That's
day's
yeah,
off
you're
to a
like
good
that's for
start.
me.
Uh
I love
That's my
that so
drugs right there.
much. That's
boy,
so
boy.
good.
Well, why not? We can't thank you enough. You've been
So
so generous
grateful.
It's
with
so
your
fun.
time and
Yeah.
sharing so much wisdom with us. Thank
My
you very
absolute
much.
pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Of
Yeah, this was so
course,
Really
of
much
fun.
fun. So
course.
glad to meet you, and I'm sure we'll be in touch.
Yes.
Yeah, I
For
hope
sure.
so. I'll try to send more music your way if you can fit me in.
Anytime.
Yeah,
Anytime.
that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Happy
I
to help.
appreciate it. All right. Well,
All
this
right,
was
guys.
Why Not Jansveld, everybody. Thank you so
Yes.
much. All right. Bid you adieu. Take care.
Thank
Take care.
you.
Have a great
Bye,
night,
Thank you.
why
guys.
Thank
not?
you.
Great to meet
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye
Bye.
bye. Wow.
She's like a real famous person. Oh
Wallflowers.
my God.
Gavin DeGraw.
Yeah,
Butch Walker. I mean,
that's
this
crazy.
guy's in it. He's in
But
it
he
deep.
also like I mean, anyone can look him up, right? But I'm just gonna rattle,
Do it.
okay? Because
Rattle.
like I didn't want to, because I didn't want to seem like a fangirl. Also, like he has the cutest dimples. All right, I'm done. Matchbox 20.
Yeah.
Natasha Bedingfield. I was literally about
Boom.
to be like, okay, Sara Bareilles.
Bareilles.
Bareilles?
Jackie.
Fuck. Sorry, Bareilles. Cut that out. Sara
Bareilles.
Bareilles. Okay. I always said Bareilles. Like, oh yeah, Harper Blinn,
Yeah.
damn wells. Like,
Yeah.
worked with Linda Perry,
Yeah.
producer, like Butch Walker, who he was like talking about
Hmm.
becoming a first call bassist. I mean, it says in 2023 they backed up Eric Clapton.
Yeah.
That's so legit.
I know.
I mean, it's just crazy. He's been on Jimmy Kimmel, James Corden, Conan O'Brien, Jay Leno, The Today Show. Like, just keep it going. Like MTV's Hard Rock Live, like he was on MTV. Good
Yeah.
Morning America. Like
Yeah.
all I mean, it's just, and not that, but us also for our listeners, I think Marty and it's safe to say we're sniffers of shitty people. Like we're not gonna talk to you if you're not a good person.
Yeah,
You
if
know what I
you've
mean?
listened to every one of our episodes, you've noticed like one of the common themes is that these are all people that I can't imagine you're listening to these episodes and not thinking like, oh, I want to be fucking friends with that person. Like
I
that's
know. Every single person, I'm like, Oh, my computer. Every
Yeah.
single person I've wanted to be like, okay, we're friends now. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, literally everyone, and he's no exception.
Yeah.
He's an incredible guy, super talented, and very just understated. He's like, this is just what I love to do, and this is what I do. So, I mean,
Yeah. There's no ego.
follow your passion. No,
No
no ego at
ego.
all. Like
That's
I feel like
so
if I sent
huge. It's so
right, like
huge.
yeah, I mean, who am I in this world? And I feel like if I recorded something, flute, piano, whatever, anything at all, and I sent it
Yeah.
to him and was like, "Hey, can you take a listen to this? Maybe master it a little
Jackie,
bit." He
let's
would
do
just,
a flute and piano album just so we can have Why Not master it for us.
dude,
How about that?
I'm ready. Do you have flute and piano music? It
Just
could be all
come
your stuff.
just come over. We'll
All
get
right.
nice and tipsy and we'll just
Just
start
starts
improvising.
set. Oh,
We'll call it
Tanji,
we'll call it Midnight Ruminations or something stupid like that.
something
And
like
it'll just be like,
swirling
yeah,
swir
just
sound
soundscapey.
Tanjim soundscapes.
Anjim
Tanjim
soundscapes.
waves.
That sounds amazing.
He'll mix that shit. He'll master it.
He'll master the shit out of that.
Yeah. All
All
right, this
right.
was great.
Well,
Lit.
thanks everybody again for listening, for
Thank
tuning
you.
in wherever you
Thank
are.
you.
Drop us a comment and a like and a subscribe and a share.
Follow
Tell
on
your friends, tell your
Instagram,
enemies.
everywhere. Yeah, tell them all. Tell all the
Hell yeah.
people.
Jackie, high five through the door.
Marty. Psh, psh.
Good night. Next time.
Night. See you next time.
Bye.